Okay, welcome back. Now that we finished our second written portion of Let's Get Regional, where you've had to basically color in and draw in symbols that you would find that represents the Piedmont and the mountain region. Now we're going to start talking about an actual different habitat. This is not the natural region of Georgia. This is a habitat in Georgia that's within a region of Georgia that we have not covered yet, but will be mentioned. We're talking about a marsh and swamp habitat. The marsh and swamp habitat, this is the Okefenokee Swamp, is in the Georgia Plains region. In Georgia Plains region, we have not really spoken about yet, but one thing you will know is that you will find the marsh and swamp habitats of Georgia within the Georgia Plains region. The Okefenokee comes from the Indian word which means land of the trembling earth. Land of the trembling earth. Not all of the Okefenokee swamp is a swamp. Part of it is a bog, which is a mossy wetland, which means you're going to find a grassy area that's extremely wet land. It is so boggy that you can shake trees by stomping on the ground. Now to me, that kind of helps me understand why it's called land of the trembling earth. Trees that are common to the marsh and swamp habitat located within the coastal plains region would be giant tupelos and bald cypresses. And here you see tupelo trees here. I always thought those was kind of scary looking. That's how I kind of remember those. Then you have cypress trees. Now, I love learning about the marsh and swamp habitat within the coastal plains region because they have some unusual plants that you just don't see every day. Now, one of those is the bladderwort. It says bladderworts live in a shallow water and have small air sacs that catch small bugs, water fleas, and worms. A plant that's carnivorous. That's unusual to me. Okay, then you have pitcher plants. Pitcher plants eat live bugs. The bugs are attracted to the smell and they crawl inside. Once inside, they are trapped. The flower has strong chemicals that immediately dissolve the bug. Isn't that unusual for you? And then you also have the sundew flower, has sticky stuff on the plant. When bugs land, they are stuck. Then the flower can eat the bug. Now, I don't know about you. I've never heard about a flower eating a bug other than, what do they call it? The Venus flytrap. But now, I think this is well beyond the Venus flytrap. And they have pictures of all three. Now, it looks beautiful, but just imagine, it's a meat-eating plant. Land animals in the marsh and swamp habitat would be white-tailed deer. So far, this deer has been in all three areas we've talked about in Georgia, the marsh and swamp, mountains, and the Piedmont. Got raccoons. That was also, I believe, in one of the habitats earlier. The black bear eats plants and animals. So not only do you find black bear in the mountain region and habitat of Georgia, you find them in the marsh and swamp habitat of Georgia. Water animals. We have river otters, water moccasin. It says one of Georgia's few venomous snakes. It can coil, bite, and coil again in 1/2 second. That's quick. Now, some of you may not know what it means to have a venomous snake. That means it is poisonous. And although Georgia is not overrun with a bunch of poisonous snakes, this is one of the few that you would find. And where would you find it, according to this? Marsh and swamp habitat. Did you know a full-grown alligator can grow up to 15 feet and weigh 700 pounds? Well, that would probably be a good reason that I wouldn't be wanting to visit the marsh and swamp habitat too regular, because you are likely to find in that habitat an alligator. Swamp and marsh habitat birds. Ospreys, the sandhill crane, and hingus. These birds feed on small prey such as lizards, rats, and snakes, and they're all found in the marsh and swamp habitat. Now, one thing I'd like for you to note as you're looking at the pictures here, I would like for you to take a look at their beaks and their necks. You will note they're long. They're long and stripped. Now, the reason why that is common to those types of birds is an adaptation that allows them to survive where there is water, but they can't live on the water. They have to be able to go in the water to get food, and they can't really necessarily live underwater, but they got to be able to catch the fish. So having that long beak and having that long neck really helps them out in their ability to survive in that habitat. Swamp and marsh birds, egret. Now, having said that, this is a great example, very good picture of a bird that would live in a swamp and marsh habitat. Long neck, long beak, and in this case, even long legs. Long legs that allows it to stand in that water, not swim and go underwater. It doesn't need to do that, but it needs to be able to catch its food. And this is a great example of the adaptation for birds in the swamp and marsh. Now, within a swamp and marsh habitat, you will find it in the region called the coastal plain region. Coastal plain region, that is our third region of Georgia. You have the mountain region at the top of Georgia. You have the Piedmont region kind of in the middle of Georgia. And then we go on to the coastal plain region, which is pictured here. Right above the coastal plains is the Piedmont region, and right above the Piedmont you would find the mountain region. The coastal habitat is the southeastern portion of the coastal plains region of Georgia. It is the coastline that separates the plains from the sea. You can see the coastal habitat in the picture below. So here you go. Here's your coastal habitat. Now you're all the way out to sea here in the Atlantic Ocean. Coastal habitat plants. You will find wiregrass, grasslands, and a variety of plants here. And again, you notice it's a heavily watered area, just like you would find for a swamp and marsh. You have that lots of water. But not only do you have just water like you would in the ocean, you actually have plants that are growing on top of that water. Because even though there's a lot of water there, it's not so far away from land that they can't have roots. Coastal habitat trees here. Spanish moss on a live oak tree. And Spanish moss likes to go, it's called kind of an air plant, because it likes to stay up high in the trees, and that's how it's able to survive. Coastal habitat birds. Same type of bird that you should find in a swamp and marsh habitat, simply because the swamp and marsh habitat is within this particular region of Georgia. So it shouldn't be unusual to find the same types of birds right outside of the swamp, but within that coastal plains region. Again, more pictures. Long legs, long beak, long neck, within the coastal plains region and the swamp and marsh habitat. Coastal habitat animals, you will find, you have the turtles here, snakes here, and then you also find the sea turtle. Sea turtles. Now, why would you find that in the coastal habitat? Most people think of that as living actually in the ocean. Well, they do something amazing that basically allows them to survive and live part of the time in a coastal habitat. And that is, they like to come on land, lay their eggs, cover them up, and then go back out. Then when the turtles hatch, they swim back out there to the ocean, and they're on their own. And now we're going to do our last portion of Let's Get Regional.